Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go with them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, give me your story titled, Am I the a-hole for confronting my girl about attending male shows without telling me? And guys, this is about a guy, he's 28, he's been with his girl for 2 years, and in his view, he's had no reason to ever not trust her. He describes her as kind of like a shy, nerdy type of girl, would never do anything that would, like what you hear in these stories. However, one night after a roll in the hay, her phone went off, and he saw something that gave him a very serious clue that she is up to no good. And what is that clue? Well, I'll let you find out, but let's just say it goes down the path of, or the rabbit hole of, male dancers, shows, things going on with male dancers, leading to him handling things the way he should. I'm going to go over here, guys, for you relationship guys, to know that your girl wants to do girls' nights or bachelorette parties that involve male dancers, and they say, oh, we're just going to watch, nothing's going to happen. Well, it's been shown many, many times in the stories I've covered that things actually do happen. And you got to be aware of that, as well as many other things. So kick back, this is definitely an entertaining one. He says, I, a 28-year-old male, and Jen, a 26-year-old female, have been dating exclusively for 2 years and living together for 6 months. Way too soon, dude. We live in a college town where we both earned our computer science degrees, but we didn't know each other in college. Jen is the classic cute nerd who loves playing video games and is a huge fan of Doctor Who. Jen has a good friend, Amber, with whom she goes out with maybe once every 4 to 6 weeks. Usually it's some kind of low-key, like a movie or dinner and drinks. Low-key, huh? Okay, we'll see. Many times it's during the week, not the weekend. I never thought anything about it because I've never had any reason to. Yeah, well, a lot of times it's those nerdy girls. They're actually little devils inside. Plus, sometimes Jen comes home really horny and wants to have sex as soon as she stumbles through the door. But other times she texts me saying she's going to crash at Amber's place. And this guy's thinking, I'm so amazing, I'm such a catch that, of course she wants to come home all horny and tear my clothes off. We're going to see what really gets her going to be all horny and everything. So a few nights ago, Jen and Amber had a girls' night, and she told me they were going to see a late movie and maybe grab some drinks afterwards. Jen came home around 11 p.m., tipsy but not drunk, and basically jumps me in bed. We went at it until she fell asleep around 1 a.m. When I went to turn out her light off, I noticed a pop-up on her phone with a QR code ticket pass to something called Men in Motion. Men in Motion, gee whiz, what do you think that is? I don't think that's a freaking board game. So I Googled it. It's a traveling show with male strippers that travels around the country and puts on a male strip show. And yes, the ticket was for a show tonight. Well, so much for movie night, huh? Jen and I don't have an open phone policy, but I knew her password and I was more than curious. Bro, at this point, you got reason to check. I checked her Eventbrite app ticket history, and it looks like she has gone to a lot of these shows. I also looked at her photos and found a folder with over 100 pictures of her and male dancers wearing not a lot of clothing. I did a video, just another video I filmed before this, about another situation with male dancers, male strippers, that type of thing, and they don't just strip and take their clothes off. A lot of other things are going on with the girls around them. So there you go, bro. Your girlfriend's a big, giant, freaking liar and cheater. Kick her to the curb. Guarantee she's cheating on you, amongst many other things. Goodbye. And again, it's always the shy, nerdy girls that are really the little devils. I'm struggling with the idea that Jen enjoys watching hot naked men dance and has been hiding it from me. I feel inadequate and uneasy about the situation. Smack, dude, don't be a pussy, okay? Yeah, there's jack dudes and they get jobs dancing for girls, stripping, and doing other bonus things here, but it has nothing to do about you. Although there's no evidence she cheated, there have been 2 nights she didn't come home that matched the dates of the shows. Yeah, I have a good memory. It makes me wonder if something more is going on. Well, let's just say for argument's sake, she actually didn't engage in any touchy-feely with those dudes. The point is, she's been lying to you all this time about a thing that would certainly you'd have issue with. I guarantee she'd probably have issue if you going to the clubs and seeing naked girls stripping and getting lap dances or other things. I guarantee she'd have a problem with that. She's lying to you. You can't trust her. Kick her to the curb. But nobody here at all who's been around the block believes that there was any frisky things going on with her. I always trusted Jen. Smack. Not anymore. And I don't want to excuse her of anything without evidence. Without evidence, you got all the fucking evidence you need, dude. Enough to end it with her. However, this whole situation is making me uneasy. How do I bring this up with her without making her feel like I don't trust her? And how do I deal with this nagging feeling that even more may have happened? Would I be the a-hole if I confront her about this? Smack, Mr. Nice Guy. Who cares if you're the a-hole that went through her phone? Who cares if you're the a-hole that accuses her of this? So what? Have some balls. And don't worry, he will. Give me more than enough evidence, reason to kick her to the curb. Now the update. And he redeems himself for his pussy moment here. He says, this is 6 days later after his original post. Says, your first thank you for all the comments. It really helped me get my head on straight and realize I've been gaslighting myself. The shock of knowing my nerdy Jen was regularly watching male strippers, along with low-key feelings of inadequacy, I'm okay looking but I'm not ripped, blind me to the fact that the acted deception on her part was the bigger issue. Anyhow, here's the update on what has happened. I knew I had to talk to Jen. At home Thursday evening, I told her I saw the ticket on her phone that night of the show and asked her why she lied to me that she was going to the movies. Okay, let the gaslighting and temper tantrums and bullshit begin. She was initially taken back and defensive, but eventually apologized for not being upfront. She said that she and Amber just considered it a fun and even silly girls' night activity. Night activity, as in one time, I've seen evidence you've been doing this a whole lot of times, with hundreds of pictures of you with clothes off and all that. What do you mean? Here's the deal, guys. This guy should be breaking up with her without this whole conversation. But the dumbass is living with her. They've been together for 2 years, and he's already living with her. Imagine if they weren't living together, and he just had a sleepover. She was at his house, and his, saw this, then boom, get out. But now they're on the same lease, and she's living in the place, and now getting rid of her is more challenging. Jen admitted she kept it quiet for me because she wasn't sure how to react and didn't want to make things awkward between us by asking if it was something fun and naughty. She admitted that it was not her first time attending a show like this, but she couldn't remember how many times in the past. Well, the fact that she can't remember how many times she's done this behind his back, that tells you everything you need to know. It was a lot of fucking times. Jen also says something I never thought of, that she felt safe going to these shows, as it was an all-women environment, compared to bars and clubs where guys get drunk and hit on women. Oh, well, that makes it so much better. Meanwhile, you got guys on stage swinging their dicks at them. That's okay. She reassured me that these shows were just to have fun and not about any dissatisfaction with our relationship. She said at least 3 times that she finds me attractive and was very satisfied with our sex life. Well, so most guys look at PURN either occasionally or quite often, whether they're 12 years old or they're probably 90 years old, let's be honest here. And they can certainly be attracted to their girlfriend or fiance or even wife, imagine that, and get on with them. But still, it's different than, like, say, back in the day with magazines or the internet, as opposed to actually going to the shows and having the dudes, you know what, in your face and all that. There's a difference there. She reassured me that the shows would just have fun and not about any dissatisfaction, blah, blah, blah. She even said it would even help me process things that she and I could go together to a club with female dancers. Neither of us ever been to a strip club with female dancers, but thought it would be similar, and I could see for myself that it was just naughty fun, and we could experience it together. Here's another element to this, guys. I don't know about you, but I simply wouldn't want, aside from many other issues here, I wouldn't want a girlfriend that is like addicted to going to strip clubs and spending money on that bullshit and all that. I mean, come on here. That's like on the level of class. Really? After a couple hours of talking, she grabbed my hand and took me up to the bedroom to assure me that I'm still the hottest man in her life. Oldest trick in the book. Well, you might as well get laid out of it. And there goes the alarms again. I'm just going to keep talking. The next day I was satisfied with her explanation. Smack! Satisfied with her explanation. No, man, you got extra special treatment that night for her to get you to change your mind. Jen didn't tell me how many times she'd gone to these shows, but I chalked it up as her being embarrassed by me finding out and not wanting to hurt me anymore. I also didn't ask about the pictures. Smack! You pussed out. I didn't want her to know that I looked through her phone and there really wasn't any smoking gun evidence of infidelity. Didn't you say earlier that you found like hundreds of pictures of her and strippers with articles of clothing missing? Come on here. But the next day, something just felt off. Made me just question myself, am I being naive up to this point? She knew how to push your buttons, or push something up in the bedroom. So I reached out to a mutual friend of ours, Kirsten. Kirsten was part of Jen and Amber's college friend group, and I knew Kirsten casually from a few classes we had together. Kirsten and I weren't close at all, and I hadn't seen her since graduation, but we reconnected at a wedding a couple years ago. The wedding was just around the time Jen and I became exclusive. Jen and Amber were both bridesmaids. Jen took me as her +1, and as far as I knew, Kristen and Jen didn't have much interaction after the wedding, which I assume was just normal for married people to lose contact with unmarried friends. I messaged Kirsten Saturday. I used the pretense that I was thinking of taking things to the next level with Jen, and that since she was the first person in the friend group that got married, and that she knew Jen, that she could give me some advice. You sneaky devil, you. What she said next stunned me. Uh-oh. She said she didn't know that Jen and I were a couple, and she hadn't spoken to Jen since the wedding. She also said we should meet up for coffee so she can fill me on some things in person, but not to tell Jen we were meeting. Holy fuck. Uh-oh. Looks like you're about to find out more about Jenny Poo. So we had coffee on Sunday, and wow, just fucking wow. Here's what she told me. I've written this chronologically so it makes more sense. Here we go, guys. You can all speculate what's coming next. According to Kirsten, number 1, Jen was a virgin until her 21st birthday. As a joke, Kirsten, Amber, and friends decided to hire a male dancer for Jen's birthday celebration. To everyone's shock, Jen really liked the stripper, and she lost her virginity that night. So, if in fact that was her losing her virginity, she lost it to a guy who obviously was very good physical shape and all that. So the bar is already high in terms of who she's into. 2, Jen got the stripper's phone number, and Kirsten said they met up with him a few times after the party for what Jen called a special private show. Jen was very proud of this. So there you go. Yet more evidence that the male strippers will sometimes fool around or go all the way with the females that are there. 3, Jen became more interested in dancers and would do things like suggesting Magic Mike for movie nights. Other times she would comment on guys walking around campus, making comments about abs and biceps and saying, I bet he looks good in a thong. Well, okay, girls are going to talk about guys' body parts. Guess what? The whole men are scumbags because they're locker room talk, that's all nonsense, because you get a bunch of girls together. Believe me, I've heard them. They're worse than a bunch of dudes in a locker room. 4, Jen had a serious boyfriend after college and before we met that I didn't know about. Oh, interesting. According to Kirsten, the relationship ended when the boyfriend discovered Jen in bed with, a stripper. So she has a history of cheating. Jen had gone to a male review, hung out with after the show. She managed to pick up one of the dancers and took him home. The boyfriend ended up moving out of town for work, which is why I had never heard of him. The friend group knew about this mess, and Kirsten figured Jen had learned her lesson. So now is Kirsten here spilling the beans on her so-called friend Jen. Well, ex-friend. 6, at Kirsten's bachelorette party, where Jen and Amber were bridesmaids, Kirsten explicitly told them, no strippers. Despite this request, Jen and Amber arranged for 2 strippers to show up, and all 4 of them end up having a foursome. So, his girlfriend here is a big giant liar. All those the nerdy girlfriend, the shy nerdy girlfriend, who's like that goes to Comic-Con and dress up and all that, like fucking I don't know what. There you go. Hooking up with strippers. Kirsten was understandably furious with them hijacking her bachelorette and blatantly disrespecting her. It ended the friendship with Jen and Amber, though she kept them in the wedding party because the wedding date was only a week away. And she didn't want a word of this to get out to overshadow the wedding. Looking back, I remember the vibe of the wedding felt off, and this is why. I could tell Kirsten was still rightfully very pissed about the whole situation and said I deserved to know the truth. Over the course of an hour, I went from stunned to furious. Well, nobody here is surprised. Thank God he had the sense to reach out to Kirsten. And thank God Kirsten told him about all this. I could tell Kirsten was still, I heard that part. I'll spare you the ugly details of Sunday evening, but I broke it off and told Jen that she has the end of the week to move out. Good for you, bro. You should have done that initially, but I know you need more proof. She was crying, screaming, begging, but at this point I had enough and told her she can go fuck off and die. Among her excuses, there was nothing wrong with a woman liking hot men, and that it was all just fantasy, no different than guys liking porn. The difference here in this situation is she's going to these clubs and physically having a dude in her face, and has repeatedly have a history of actually getting frisky with these dudes, as opposed to a guy just watching this on his phone or on his computer or on TV or back in the old days of magazines. There's a big giant difference. We're talking about apples and oranges here. It got her horny, and I got the benefit of that. I was being, wait for it, insecure. She really loved me and saw a future together, and this was something we could work through. Well, of course, it's easy for her because she's not having to work through anything on her part, but he has to work through all this shit. Nah, no thanks, honey. Oh, and she never slept with strippers after Kirsten's bachelor party, and the debacle was early in our relationship and shouldn't count. But who the fuck knows? Well, you can't believe a word she says, and obviously she's been cheating on you. Going out those nights seeing the strippers, probably, think about this. If she lost her virginity to one of the strippers and has a history of hooking up with male strippers, and now she's with this dude, and you're supposed to believe when she goes to these shows and reviews, she's not back to her old tricks. Come on here. Jen will be sleeping in the spare room for now, but I told her this is over. I will avoid as much as I can until she moves out. I'm not worried about her doing psycho shit. I think she knows I will go nuclear and tell her parents and family the whole story if she tries anything. Please do, and tell us about it. How many guys have thought that, I don't think she's going to do anything crazy, and then they come home and everything's destroyed. So it is done. Thank you for everyone who gave me the needed push to man up and confront this. Well, there you go. Who says writing can't help? Now, one more update here. Let's see how things are going with our hero. This was 7 days after the previous update. It says, thank you all again for your support. Some of you asked for an update. Jen finished moving out Saturday. No drama. I mostly avoided her. She made some attempts at reconciliation, but I think she knows it was hopeless. Bitch, resistance is futile. I don't know how he got her out. They're supposed to be on the maybe it's his apartment and she moved in and she wasn't on the lease or anything like that. You know, that type of thing. She paid her share of the rent with blowjobs. I don't know what. Some of you made helpful suggestions to protect myself, but mostly were not needed. I wasn't worried about her trashing the place. She's not crazy. She just got caught. She also knew that I would go nuclear if she tried any stunts. And all the years together, she has never seen me this pissed off. Hell, I had never seen me this pissed off. Well, maybe you gave her a scare, and that's actually a good thing. I also wasn't worried about her trying to spin some story for sympathy. Our respective families live in different states, our friend circles, what's left of hers, don't overlap, and we work for different companies. So there was no one for her to play the sympathy card on. Also, I wasn't worried about baby trapping, as I would never stick my you-know-what in that again. Also, we are both well-paid IT professionals with plenty of disposable income, no desire to have kids. The STD panel is clean. Oh, that's good. I was about to say, go get a freaking test, my friend. I did speak with Kirsten, the former friend of Jen, to let her know what had happened. One thing she said made me feel a bit better. She said that during and after college, Jen was actually pretty selective in who she dated and was not into the casual hookup culture. Okay. And probably hadn't been with more than 5 guys total before me. Including the strippers? Sure. With the obvious exception, she had a hobby of hooking up with strippers, and yes, I know that sounds effed up to write it, but she probably wasn't running around with a load of random hookups behind my back. So yes, I may have been naive, but not that naive. Well, I wouldn't count on that. One of my friends said this whole thing reminded him of stories about men with loving wives and families who had some kink that can only be satisfied by hiring street hookers. Losing her virginity to a stripper may have done something to Jen's psyche that could only be satisfied with some jacked dude with oiled muscles dancing in a thong. Not my problem anymore. Well, that's what I thought. I'm doing okay as I can be in this situation. I'm not really depressed because I'm still pissed off about the whole situation. At some point, I may go to a strip club just to see what they are all talking about. Bro, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. But if it makes you feel better and you got to do it, then go ahead. But it's a different situation with the girls dancing versus the guys dancing. Because the guys, they get paid, especially the ones that get hired to do their shows and Airbnbs and hotel rooms and everything, or parties. And as a side benefit, they get some side ass. The female dancers, they're going to get paid to put the $5 bill in their freaking G-string to dance. They're going to get paid to do the lap dances, in which guys have to have their hands up when they do this, And then definitely get paid for any other special services. Don't waste your time. You save your money, save your time. But anyhow, bro, point of this whole story is, yes, these things go on with the male dancers, as I did with the other video I filmed earlier today. This is like, it's funny how sometimes I get stories that kind of like are similar all within the same day. It's very strange when people send them to me. But anyhow, take it one day at a time and move on. And next time, don't move in with your girlfriend in 2 years. Take your time. Really get to know her. And this goes to show you got to pay attention to the red flags, because there's plenty out there. And don't just buy the, oh, my sweet and innocent nerdy girlfriend would never do anything like that. It's usually the shy, nerdy ones that really are, like I said, the little devils that are really have a different side to their personality. So be careful. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.